Cancer, your 2026 is money, honey. And you in 2026 are money. Not only do you have Jupiter, the planet of luck, blessings, and opportunities in your sign in the first portion of the year, magnetizing the right opportunities to you, the right eyes on you. Even when Jupiter shifts into Leo from June 29th onward, this impacts the territory of your chart that governs your bank account. So those blessings are converting to cold, hard cash. But there is a cosmic catch. The cosmic catch is that Jupiter can expand the money coming in, but it can equally expand the money going out. Yes, your money is growing, but so may your expenses, so may your taste. You know, Jupiter can be a planet that is around excess. And this year does challenge you to rethink the way that you view money. South Node will also shift into the second house of money that you earn, which signals that there's a lot of shifts coming up around money. See, North Node is in your 8th house, which governs money that comes to you from unearned means, other people's money and resources, passive income, money and support that finds you that is not directly tied with your energy and your effort, which is limited. So while this can be a prosperous year, you can really be gaining mastery within your career. You could be working quite hard with Saturn and Aries. We'll get into it. It's very important to give every dollar a job that you are bringing in. And what I mean by that is it's going to be incredibly important this year to really allocate adequate resources towards your debt, adequate resources to your taxes, to invest adequate resources in any sort of merger or collaboration or mutual investment. And you may be thinking, Haley Comet, I didn't click on Haley Comet Financial Advisor. Like, I want to talk about the astrology. I don't want to talk about money strategies. But this year really requires you to rethink the way that you think about money in order to really prosper from this transit. I don't want you to leave Jupiter in Leo feeling like, okay, I made a lot of money, but I spent it all. Really, this can be a time to bring in more money, but put it towards something. And as I highlighted, Saturn and Neptune are within your 10th house. So a lot of you are experiencing a lot of challenges around crystallizing something within the public eye, around proving yourself in leadership, around proving yourself to a boss, around establishing something for yourself, around feeling tested within your chosen field. Some of you could even step into something new or let go of some sort of income stream that you have currently in order to broaden your horizons to something new, as well as releasing outdated values or even ego and pride and how that affects your finances. Cancer, we'll talk about everything that you need to know within the year 2026. Beyond just money, we'll talk about what this year has in store as it relates to your relationships. We'll talk about what this year has in store for your career, for your healing, for your friendships. We'll talk about it all, but I want to let you know that this video will be the most relevant and applicable if you are a Cancer rising or if you are a Cancer sun. The reason for this is that I derive a lot of the information about the transit this year utilizing houses. Rising is tied to your actual houses within your chart, which is why it's always the most accurate and on point with what you are moving through. But secondarily, I also recommend listening to your sun sign, as I utilize a technique called solar houses, which is when we take the sun into the first house and set up the houses accordingly. And you don't have to do that math or work it out. Basically, if you listen to 2 videos within this series, 12 Days of the Cosmos, your rising will be the most accurate for your journey, and your sun sign may be an additional layer of significance as you step into the year. I want to let you know that you all are ruled by the moon. And so you particularly are very in tune with the energetics, with the waxes and the wanes, with the ebbs and flows of what is happening astrologically, as you are very energetically tapped into it. So if you're really wanting to dive into the astrology and understand it month by month, particularly for your life, I would really recommend grabbing my Magic 2026 guide. This is a 2+ hour video where I take you through every single month of 2026, the opportunities of each, the challenges of each, affirmations I've written to support you in the energy that you are walking through that particular month. Fear not, you don't need to listen to all 2+ 2+ hours in one go. I do have timestamps, of course, within the offering, but I would really recommend that if you are wanting to live with more alignment and flow this year and prioritize your time and energy towards places and spaces where the astrology is already working with you and conserving your energy when the astrology is a little bit more blocked, rigid, or challenging. So you can check that out below. I also am having Capricorn New Moon Circle classes in January. If you want to gather with a supportive cosmic collective, you will get your chart and your transits read. So it's personal readings, and then we take the information from what the astrology signals for you and your unique date of birth, time of birth, location of birth, and setting intentions around what's already flowing and going. So check that out below as well. If you are new to my cosmic corner of the internet, I just want to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Haley Comet. I do all signs forecast videos here on the channel when we have major shifts. I also have a weekly horoscope called Magic Monday, where I take you through the astrology of each and every week and the magic that is within it. Because I believe that's what happens when we work with the cosmos rather than fighting against it. Our life turns into something magic. We're in the right place at the right time. We're prioritizing the right things at the right time. The right eyes are on us at the right time. But without further ado, Cancer, let's go ahead and take it into your 2026 forecast. Cancer, if 2026 is a movie, Act 1 is the opening scene. Essentially, how it is that you start the year and the energies that you are bringing with you from 2025. Let's get into it. I want to begin by saying that we start the year with Jupiter in your sign, which indicates in actual houses or solar houses that it is impacting your first house. And so there could have been an energy in 2025 where you did step into a new chapter of some sort. Some of you by choice, you could have moved, you could have let go of a relationship, you could have moved in with your partner. There can be some sort of new chapter that is opening up for you. And if you have not felt it yet, you very well may feel it in the beginning of 2026. This desire to say yes and to participate within this reality and to be open to discovering and uncovering different parts of yourself. Jupiter is the frequency of gratitude. It's this frequency of exploration. It's the frequency of saying yes to life and the opportunities that are within it. It's the frequency of getting out of your shell. A little bit, my lovely Cancers. You may have had an emphasis in 2025 and 2026 around wanting to grow into new sides of yourself, grow your business if you have one, grow your altruistic project, or even grow spiritually, grow intuitively. The energy of Jupiter really makes us want to expand into a new chapter of our life, whatever that may entail. And for many of you, that could have required being a bit more visible. And that energy you do bring with you into 2026, putting yourself out there, allowing yourself to be seen, knowing that that puts you in the pathway to call in the right opportunities. Some of you could have had to step into some sort of leadership position, which is also alive this year, which could have challenged you quite a bit. You know, you are a little bit of a sensitive soul. And when we are leading more people, when we are being seen by more people, when we're being perceived by more people, our energetic protection and maintenance needs to grow as well. And so that could have been something that you've been navigating around putting yourself out there, launching the thing, saying yes to the trip, getting the promotion. But now there's also this energy around, okay, with new levels comes new devils around. It's great to have more recognition. It's great to have new experiences. It's great to level up altogether. But when we level up, we need the structure to support the leveling up. And that certainly shows up within the physical components of our life, but it's also around the energetic components that support that growth. You know, we don't just want skyrockets of growth. We want scalable growth. We want sustained growth. right? There's such an emphasis on that, even beyond the financial conversation that we were having earlier. As it relates to growing into new seasons of your life, you need to have the rituals, the routines, or the structures in order to support it. Even spiritually, we can receive all of these massive downloads, but if we don't integrate them within our daily life, it will be ungrounded. If we grow into this new position, we're working with more people. If we don't have our rituals that help us clear all of the excess energy that we're picking up, we'll be overwhelmed. If we do not continue to nourish our body, the muscle that we build at the gym will subside. Like there's an energy around, yes, I want to grow, but I want to sustain it. I don't just want to go on a retreat or go on a trip and then come back into my daily life and have things go right back to normal. I don't just want to launch this business and then get so overwhelmed when orders are coming in that I just hide back into my shell. I don't want to say yes to this promotion and then get so overwhelmed by how many different people are pulling on my energy that I just want to quit. I don't just want to learn this particular tool without really integrating within my life. Like, yes, I want to grow, but we also need structure to grow. And so that's an energy that you're bringing with you this year, Cancer. And I want to highlight that first house also has to deal with body. And so there can be an energy around really wanting to nourish your body, take care of your body. Some of you could have gotten really into the gym or more into your own personal style, your aesthetic. Jupiter is a planet of excess and growth. So this transit is very common as a weight gain transit because it tends to be more of an optimistic, say yes sort of frequency. So sometimes we're booking the trip and we're eating all of the pasta, or we are saying yes to the social outings and we are drinking a little bit more. Like sometimes that can reflect within our physical vessel. Some of you could be pregnant or you could get pregnant at this time as Jupiter is a growing influence in that regard. Or you could just be giving birth to a new era of life and really a new era of yourself, really wanting to uncover all that you are. You're ruled by the moon. You're a little mysterious, Cancer, even for yourself as well. You can find that there is a desire to really get to know yourself, not just who it is that you are now, but also all of the untapped potential that Jupiter is helping you tap into. And that is an energy that you're bringing with you from late 2025 into 2026. And I know what you're thinking, Healing Comet. You might be like, okay, Jupiter, chop, chop, like get to it. I have still been experiencing challenge and hurdles. Listen, Jupiter is a frequency that is around growth and expansion and gratitude. It does not suggest that our life is perfect when Jupiter is in our sign. There is absolutely going to be obstacles on the way. Some of you will have Saturn transits this year, Neptune transits this year, Chiron transits this year. It's not to say that everything is perfect, but there is a desire to really step into all that you are, to no longer hide in the shadows, to welcome in growth and welcome in what is necessary in order to support that growth. The structures, the rituals, the energetic maintenance, as well as the body maintenance as well. Like I said, this has a lot to do with our physical vessel. And I do see this year, career, your outer public persona, your reputation could be a major focus. And it's very easy when you have such a 10th housey year to allow a lot of your energy to go towards work and success and the promotion and the leadership and all of that, which is a component of this year. But Jupiter in the first house also wants you to remember to take care of yourself. As you take care of your business, as you take care of your family, as you take care of this passion project or this altruistic effort out in the world, you have to take care of yourself because your body is the house for your soul. The body is the house for your mind. The body is the house for your heart. And you cannot lead and guide and give if you are not feeling nourished and sustained within yourself and within your own physical being. So Cancer, there is an energy from late 2025 to 2026 where you are writing a new chapter. You are saying yes to new opportunities and you are nurturing yourself, nourishing yourself, and prioritizing yourself in order to do that. Some of you could have left behind something within your life, left behind a job, left behind a career path, left behind a city, whatever it was, in order to welcome in the new. So there is a bit of bittersweet within that, but it's very important as you step into 2026 to remain open. Jupiter is the planet of travel. Jupiter is the planet of education. Jupiter is the planet of philosophy. And so some of you are exploring yourself spiritually. You're getting more into astrology. You're getting more into human design. Some of you are connecting to parts of yourself as you travel. Some of you are stepping into a new season of your life in education. Maybe you're a professor. Maybe you are enrolling in school. I want to highlight that the Jupiter and Cancer energy will be the most deeply felt by those who have Cancer placements between 15 to 29 degrees Cancer. That indicates that you will have a Jupiter conjunction this year. So this expansive, visible, open-minded, open-hearted, open-souled energy will be the most deeply felt. And for some of you, as I'm talking through where we start the year, you might be like, I have not felt this Jupiter energy. You may have Cancer placements at very late degrees, which means that you have not experienced a Jupiter conjunction yet. Act 2, the plot twist. What may catch you by surprise as it relates to what transpires this year? I want to talk about your 10th house. Because some of the events around your career, your public persona, your reputation, your outward perception may surprise you quite a bit. Saturn and Neptune leave your fellow water sign Pisces at the beginning of the year and settle into Aries. Saturn for the next few years and Neptune for the next decade. And then a couple years over. And both of these planets dipped in 2025. So there could have been some elements of these themes presenting themselves, but this may be a main focus of your 2026. And one of the plot twists that my Cancers may experience is how hard you may need to work this year. I cannot beat around the bush. You know, all of the Jupiterian luck in the world cannot take us away from where Saturn will take us in order to build mastery. A lot of you are really having to work hard. And listen, you might be listening to this like, Haley, comment, I do not chase, I attract. I do not align with the frequency of hard work. Like maybe you're trying to work on your money mindset with the eclipses in your 2nd house and 8th house and making money without having to work so hard. And I support you with it. And honestly, the astrology also supports you within that intention, which we'll get into. But Saturn energy does test us. It does test us. Like you might get a promotion where you're making more money, but with Saturn energy, there might be more responsibility that you are taking in. You might start a business where, yes, the income potential is greater, but you may have an energy around, if this fails, it's on me. You know, Saturn is in Aries, which is the sign of self. So you could be starting something. You could be in your entrepreneurial era, or even if you work within an existing corporation, you may need to head something up, assert yourself, be very proactive. And that also can be like the hard work that's here. When we are the shot caller, when we are the decision maker, we also feel the pressure around, oh, if something goes wrong, you know, this is on me. And that is a pressure, you know, not just on our schedule and our time, but also psychologically, just knowing, you know, if this doesn't work, it's on me. Or even people are relying on me. You know, with Saturn, there can be some restriction around your career. You may feel an emphasis that you need to prove yourself. Some of you are stepping into something brand new, like you are doing something brand new that you have not done before. And with Saturn energy, there's a pressure around gaining mastery within it. You may feel very tested. You may have a boss or authority figure who puts a lot of pressure on you, who requires a lot of you, who has very high standards for you. Either you're the one with the high standards or someone else is the one with high standards for you. But this can be a very challenging transit, but it also can be a really powerful one to level up, to step up as a leader, to create something new, even with the pressures and sacrifices that this can entail. If you are looking for a position or looking to shift within career, I have to be so forthright with you and say that Saturn is the frequency of time. So it could take more time. There could be more delays around you finding position or shifting positions. I have to be forthright. That Saturn energy sometimes can put us through the ringer. You know, you might work in an industry that has gone through a lot of changes. And with Saturn and Aries, there may be an emphasis here around needing to create your own opportunity or start something new or even try something new. You know, this will not be a storyline for everyone, but I do want to highlight some of you may have recently retired, or even the Saturn energy, your boss put so much pressure on you that you had to quit for your own well-being. And 10th house outside of career, it's also our reputation out in the world. And with Saturn in the 10th house, you could feel more scrutinized by other people. It's like other people get away with things and then you do the same thing within your business and the FTC comes after you, or the boards, or something like this. You could feel more visible, and not always in a very positive way. Typically, my advice when it comes to Saturn energy is, yes, it may be in Aries, but my encouragement would be not to take unnecessary risks at this time. Saturn is the planet of karma, so you can find if you do badmouth a competitor, it comes back to bite you. If you do something a little shady, you get a kickback from something that you really shouldn't have got a kickback from. Having the governing body of your industry come after you. Like, Saturn energy is a bit like a boomerang, and we can't really hide, especially since Saturn will be in the 10th house and Jupiter is in your first. It's a pretty visible time. So you have to be mindful if there are things that you don't necessarily want visible. You have to be discerning about it. And there may be certain situations that you have to be a bit bigger person about. You know, somebody may come after you publicly or be spreading rumors about you publicly, a competitor at your business or something like this. And you may need to take the high ground. You know, Jupiter is in your first house for the beginning portion of the year. Jupiter is very associated with morals. And it's just really important to really hone in on who it is that you want to be. And knowing that even if there is bad press or scrutiny out in the world, like, you know who it is that you are. And it's making decisions from that around what are the decisions I can make that I know are an accurate reflection of who I am. Like, I can't control how people receive it or receive me, especially with Neptune in the 10th house, which we'll get into. But at the end of the day, I know who it is that I am, and I can sleep peacefully at night knowing that I made decisions that were in alignment with my own morals and ethics. What other people respond to that is none of my business. And if somebody does go low, somebody tries to smear your name or your business or your career, you are encouraged at this time to take the moral high ground, which I know is not always satisfying to do, but trust me, with Saturn energy, you could just find that karma comes back around. And sometimes it can feel very unfair, like someone tries to sabotage your career or your path, and then you do something back to them, and then you're the one who gets caught or gets in trouble. It's like, that's not fair. They started it. Like, with Saturn and Aries, be the one to end it, or at least be the bigger person, the one who chose to rise above it. You know, this is impacting the highest territory of your chart. And sometimes you got to take the higher ground. And that is really the ask at this time. As well as with Saturn Aries, there can be a pressure just around legacy and career. You know, some of you could be contemplating if you want to retire or what it is that you've built, or if you're in a career path, if this is where you want to be. You know, Saturn energy brings pressure. And so your career could be going through changes, like industry-wide, or your boss could be putting a lot of pressure on you. This is the sort of pressure that sometimes can be too much to bear, especially if it's somewhere that we're not meant to be any longer, a career path that's no longer aligned. It will turn up the temperature of the waters that we are in until it's boiling. And so some of you may have to make the decision to leap out of the pot. Around, this is not worth my sanity, this is not worth my health, this is not worth it to me. And Saturn energy will expose any sort of cracks in the foundation, especially if it's not for us. And this will not be a storyline for everyone, but I do feel that some of you may have recently stepped out of a career path that you've chiseled, where you found a lot of your own personal identity within. And as you've retired or you shifted in something else, there may be reflections or contemplations around, who am I out in the world if I'm not successful? Like, you may recognize how much of your own sense of self was woven into what you did out in the world. And there may even be shifts around gaining your confidence from the money that you brought in. You know, Jupiter may be entering your second house, but South Node's there too. So there can be an energy around, now my confidence is not found from the money that I bring in, but other arenas of life. That won't resonate for everyone, but it does feel to be a theme this year. And I want to highlight this Saturn energy will be the most influential if you have Cancer placements between 0 to 14 degrees. That implies that you will experience a Saturn square this year, which, I have to be forthright, is hard. It can be a time of restriction. Some of you may deal with certain sacrifices. Things can be very hard. There could be something that happens around your reputation that feels very damaging to your overall sense of self. You could be feeling not very confident around your Saturn square. You could feel like you're having to work 10 times harder than other people who are getting 100 times of the results. You know, Saturn energy makes us put the effort in. But it is my belief, personally, as someone who has very strong Saturn within my chart, I do believe that Saturn rewards consistency. Saturn rewards you showing up, whether it's a great day, whether it's a bad day, allowing discipline and and consistency to be a focus this year, and knowing if it does bring hardship, this too shall pass. Everything does. And Saturn will align with Neptune in February, which I will be doing a dedicated all signs video about because it's very influential for the collective. The two get together at 0 degrees Aries, which if you study astrology, you know that's a very significant degree. But here, I just want to mention that this alignment is in your 10th house, which is around career, public persona. So some of you could have some sort of vision, that's Neptune, that you feel called to crystallize. And I do feel called, like soulfully called, like a karmic burden for you to start this business or make this career pivot. There's something around creation. There's something around initiation. There's something around action to bring your dreams into reality. Some of you could even start a business that's very spiritual. That's very Neptune, or is around healing. Chiron is also in the 10th house, or has to do with these Neptunian vibrations, which also be cameras, photography, fashion can be very Neptunian. Music can be very Neptunian. Being a bartender can be very Neptunian, or working with spirits or something like that. You may feel called to start something. And again, Saturn energy is around karma and it's around challenge. So it's not always easy to be the conduit of an idea. You know, then you have to be the steward of that idea. And I know I sound a little out there, but I'm feeling comfy with you all being out there because I'm talking to my Cancerians. So a lot of you are very into the mystical sides of life as well. You know, when spirit chooses you for a certain idea, particularly if it's meant to help the collective, which I do feel like a lot of you are tapping into this year, there's a pressure around that. You've got to show up for that vision. You've got to show up for that mission. You have to do whatever you can in order to chisel it. And there will be temptations to step out of integrity. And trust me, Saturn will see those moments if you do step out of integrity and sometimes dole out necessary karma. So my encouragement for you is really walk the line and really allow this to encourage you to rise up to a new position of authority. You know, sometimes when we get certain ideas or we are the creator of a certain vision, it makes us level up. You know, there's no other choice. It makes us be a better person. I can 100% say that starting Haley Common Astrology has made me a better person. Like me, Haley, the human. It has made me a better person. And there's certain things within my life that I cut out because I'm like, this is going to get in the way of my mission, of my calling. And sometimes that's annoying, right? Saturn can be around sacrifice, whether it's sacrificing our time in order to build our legacy, whether it's sacrificing short-term gain in order to experience long-term payouts. There can be an energy where it's not always easy to show up for a particular calling, and it will challenge us. I want to mention with the Neptune influence here, you know, Neptune governs anything reflective. And so what it is that you create could reflect society in some sort of way or make people feel very seen spiritually. But it's also important to know that reflections can not always be so flattering. So some of you could create something that's a bit controversial that people project onto or misunderstand. There also could be an energy where you feel very misunderstood, where it's like, that's not my intention. You know, we tend to think of mirrors as very accurate and true and real. But if you've been to a fun house with funhouse mirrors, you know that is not the case. We can distort and shift what it is that we see. And you may feel like your reputation is distorted and you may feel a pressure on, I need to clear up the narrative. And Neptune energy can ask us to let it go and to stay very certain in who it is that you are and not allow whatever is coming your way this year around career and public persona to shift who it is that you are. Neptune as a frequency can be very connected to temptation. It could be very connected to escapism and shadiness. And my encouragement with Saturn also there would be do whatever possible to stay in integrity with who it is that you are and to make decisions around would I feel comfortable if everybody knew this about me. You know, Neptune in the 10th house can be scandal energy, but it also can be star power. You know, Neptune as a frequency is very connected to fame. And so some of you could be on camera, you could get certain press opportunities. Some of you could film some sort of movie or book some sort of campaign, something like this. With more eyeballs, with more attention, with more press comes sometimes more haters or more people who misunderstand you or bash your name. And it's going to be important to stay very laser focused on your vision, the big vision that may take time and mastery and sacrifice to build, with Saturn also there. I want to let you know that this Neptune energy will be the most alive for you this year if you have Cancer placements between 0 to 4 degrees. That indicates that you will have a Neptune square this year, which can be confusing. You can require a lot of grounding during that time. It can be very intuitive, it can be very inspired, but it also can be incredibly disillusioning, incredibly confusing. I would really encourage you, if you are having a Neptune square, be incredibly cautious of people who try to sell you a dream around, all you have to do is take this course and then you could be in my industry and making all of this money. Like, Neptune energy can be scam energy. It can be swindling energy, and you don't want to be swindled. You know, be very cautious if people are saying, do what I do, you can make all of this money, because oftentimes people who are making real money, yes, they can mentor and support, but they typically don't necessarily want more competition in their same industry. So my encouragement would be to be mindful if someone feels like they're selling you a dream, because Saturn's also there. So I'm just letting you know that, yes, I do think this could be a prosperous year. I think it could be a successful year. I think you're on something. I think you're starting something, but the results may take time. Good things take time, and things that last and have staying power especially take time. And that's what you're focused on. You have such an eye on legacy this year. Act 3, how it is that you are evolving and growing as the starring role in your 2026 movie. And we see your own evolution represented in the sky by your ruling planet. And as we've discussed, you are ruled by the moon, which is continually waxing and waning and completes an entire revolution around the zodiac in about 28 and a half days. So it is not the best usage of both of our time for me to detail every single moon shift this year, as there's quite a lot of them. That's why I always say, I'm like, Cancers are not moody, they are just responsive. Their ruler is constantly shifting and moving into different signs and making different aspects. And you, being very intuitively tapped into energy, respond to those shifts. What we are going to detail in this section is the North Node and the South Node, as this is very woven with the moon. Being lunar yourself makes you more sensitive to the nodes and makes you more sensitive to eclipses altogether, because eclipses are basically full moons and new moons on steroids, essentially amplified, exaggerated. So let's talk about the story of the nodes this year and how it is that it is sharpening into focus your own character development. So for the first 8 months or so of the year, North Node will be in Pisces and South Node will be in Virgo. The nodes officially shifted in January of 2025, but we got a preview of this energy with the first eclipse in this axis, which landed in September 2024. And the journey that you've been on that is going to be accentuated with the Virgo lunar eclipse in the beginning of March and the Pisces lunar eclipse at the end of August is around faith versus logic, trust versus planning. And a lot of you have been on a journey around really opening up to higher wisdom from the universe. And with North Node, which is signaling where it is that we are nudged to go to and grow to, being in your 9th house of travel, higher learning, philosophy, astrology, religion, you have been asked at this time to lead by faith and not fear. You've been asked to lead from your soul and not your mind. And you've been asked to lead with trusting the process rather than trying to control the process, which is not so easy. You know, we could say we trust the universe, but when things get real, like, do we really trust the universe? A lot of you have been looking for answers, and you've been seeking to find said answers in libraries and in higher education and in astrology courses and in churches and mosques and religious institutions, deeply wanting to feel more connected to your soul. And that may be accentuated with the Pisces lunar eclipse that lands at the end of August. There could be certain divine traveling experiences that come into your orbit. There can be certain profound spiritual messages that you have learned or certain wisdom that you've been tapping into. And no matter how much we study, no matter how much we travel, there are still mysteries to the universe. There's still things that we will not know. And North Node in Pisces is about playing in those mysteries, of course, being open to exploration and learning and discovery, but also allowing yourself to surrender to the mystery of it all and the magic of it all. Even if certain people around you were like, that doesn't make sense, or what's your plan? There could have been an energy around feeling very led and very guided to some beautiful places, many of which may come into your orbit this year. And with that, leading with faith, there's also a surrendering of controlling how things go, which may come to the surface with the Virgo lunar eclipse at the beginning of March. This eclipse, as with the other eclipses in Virgo throughout this time, is in your third house, which is around the mind. It's around communication. It can also be around other people's opinions or kind of the collective consciousness, social media. And so there can be an energy around surrendering what other people say about you or think about how it is that you are living. If you have certain siblings who are very critical of you or judgmental of you, it could have been an energy of releasing that, or at least releasing attachment to what that says about you and your journey. There could have been an energy around not wanting to be on social media as much, feeling how much it muddied your mind, or even just how much of a habit being on social media was, and how it's really not serving you and serving your higher wisdom. You could even find that you're bored of a lot of the conversations that people are having. With North Node in the ninth house, you were really craving higher learning and to feel connected to something bigger than yourself. And this eclipse could bring that to the surface around small minds who just want to talk about, did you see so-and-so was doing this with so-and-so? Like overall, like kind of gossip energy, as well as there can be a focus around your own mental patterns and even just worry and how that has grabbed hold within your mind, which, listen, it's not always a light switch that we could just be like, great, Haley comments said not to worry, so I'm just not going to worry. Of course, it's not so easy, but there can be an energy around really letting faith guide you and just really trusting the process. And we can say we trust the process when things are all going well and swell, but do we trust the process when things feel messy, when things feel uncertain? And the nodes do shift in August. And the new axis that is opening up is in Aquarius and Leo, which lands in your money houses, as we noted earlier. And I would really pay attention to all eclipses, really, because you're lunar sensitive, but especially the first eclipse that lands in February. It is a solar eclipse in Aquarius, and this is the opening eclipse in this axis. So I'd really pay attention, because oftentimes we can find the opening eclipse foreshadows what a lot of the work will be, which is why I noted it, even though the nodes shifted in January of 2025, observing what could have taken root in September 2024 as it relates to the Virgo Pisces axis, because sometimes we do get a lot of hints and clues for where our journey will take us, where our fated journey will take us. That's the energy of the nodes. And really paying attention to what transpires with the solar eclipse, what new beginnings are opening up, loans, people supporting you, certain shifts as it relates to your spouse's income, even certain occult knowledge that you are digging into, or a legacy that you want to leave for humanity, being very tied to the good that you want to do for humanity overall and being less self-centered about it. There could be a theme of sacrifice or feeling connected to something bigger in this effort to really make a difference for humanity. And the solar eclipse in Leo that lands in August is in your second house of money that you earn, which, as I noted, this can be a time of growth with Jupiter. It's just important not to let that money go out the moment that it comes in. Like, there's definitely going to be an energy around, okay, I made this amount of money from this job. Let me put it towards my business, or put it towards this organization, or put it towards my investments, put it towards debt repayment, put it towards taxes, like things like that. It's going to be really important to have your systems in order, especially with Saturn in the 10th house, to strive to do things by the book. And with this particular solar eclipse, there can be an emphasis around letting go of being very rigidly attached to self, which obviously everybody's got to eat. Everyone has to survive within this physical material reality. But there could be an energy, for example, if you have a startup, you may find that you don't take a personal salary in order to continue to support the business, the corporation altogether, choosing to instead put your money into shares or something like that. Like that's getting eighth house energies, kind of like those sort of money moves, whereas second house is sort of the energy around I worked this many hours and I got paid this much. It's very cut and dry when we talk about second house. Eighth house can be a little bit more murky, but it also could be very lucrative. That's the sort of money moves. And yes, it can be more risky, and keep in mind, this is not financial advice. I'm just an astrologer. I'm just telling the story of the sky, but you may be prioritizing financial moves that are a little bit risky, or there's more of an emphasis around merging and collaboration. You even could be letting go of a certain income stream. Maybe your spouse is making more money, so you're able to depend on them a little bit more. Maybe there's an energy around letting go of one income stream in order to focus on another one. And there also just could be an energy around recognizing, it's bigger than me and not letting ego or pride get in the way. There could be an energy around really letting go of flex culture or anything like that, which obviously is not going to be a message for everyone. But a lot of times something that will really eat at our money, regardless of how much we are making, is feeling like we need to put on a show for other people. And you may find with South Node and second house, like, I don't really care how I'm perceived. I'm fine with my lifestyle right now. Just because more money is coming in, I don't feel like I need to up level my lifestyle and have this money go right back out. There can be an emphasis on that as well. Act 4. Let's talk about the other planetary influences alive in your year. Chiron in Aries is a big one. Not just this year, but for the past 8 or so years. Chiron has been in Aries since 2018, which is a fellow cardinal sign to you, Cancer, which signals at some point from now back to 2018, you have had a harsh Chiron transit, which can be very ouch. It's the best way to describe Chiron. It can represent physical wounds, emotional wounds, psychological wounds, but it also is a comet of healing. And since 2018, in addition to being in the sign Aries, it's been in your 10th house, which is around career. So there could have been certain missteps within career that felt very embarrassing, or you could have felt like your flaws, your insecurities, your inadequacies were on display. You could have felt like your reputation took a hit at this time, or you could have felt very triggered around career. Perhaps you had a boss who reminded you of your father and made you feel inadequate in a very familiar way. Chiron energy weaves deep and it tends to just cut us right where it hurts. Where yes, there can be new events that transpire for you around career and reputation, but it brings back a very familiar sore spot. And there could have been an energy around wanting to expand and grow into new sides of yourself and new experiences with Jupiter in your sign, but also feeling the insecurity that comes from having more eyeballs on you. You also could have felt like you were passed over for opportunities that should have been yours. There could have been an energy around feeling a bit rejected or neglected as it relates to career, or authority figures, father figures can also be 10th house themes. And I want to let you know that these Chiron influences will be the most prevalent this year if you have Cancer placements between 22 to 29 degrees Cancer. That indicates that you will experience a Chiron square, which can be painful, which can dig into the inner reservoirs of your being. But even though Chiron can be painful, it does give a blessing in its own unusual way and very painful way. It gives us the blessing of wisdom. There's wisdom in the wound, especially with Chiron having squared Jupiter in Cancer. There's wisdom in what we go through. And so some of you may even work in a healing profession where you help others heal in a public way. Some of you could have stepped into that position because of certain painful things that have happened to you. And Chiron always presents a choice point where it's like when we are in immense pain, we either shut down and feel very jaded and disillusioned from humanity altogether, or we strive to help others or serve others with the perspective, the tools, the modalities that the pain gave us. It's not to say we ever have to get to a place where we are jumping up and down so grateful that we got hurt in the ways that we did, but it does represent essentially how what we go through can teach us. And for you, there could have been certain experiences that you've had that have initiated you to being able to be the leader that you are, the spiritual leader that you are, if that's the case for you, or to be the entrepreneur that you are. You know, if there's been painful experiences with bosses, like maybe being very clear around that's not the boss that I want to be. You know, sometimes our pain teaches us who exactly we don't want to be, that we don't want to inflict that pain on others. And we want to be so intentional around helping other people who have gone through what we've gone through, or helping other people avoid what it is that we've gone through. And we do have a brief break from Chiron in Aries. I want to let you know that from June to September, Chiron will step into Taurus before it moves back into Aries. But this transit is almost coming to a close, so maybe worth it to just contemplate what it is that you've learned from Chiron since 2018. Chiron will move into Taurus in June, and this is your 11th house, which Uranus is also in the first portion of the year. 11th house is friendships, it is hopes and dreams. And so I will just note that from June to September, with Chiron stepping into this territory, there can be certain triggers or pain associated around community. You could feel neglected by certain friendships. You could question if you are worthy of having the things that you want or having the dreams that you want altogether. There can be certain group environments that provide for some the catalyst for healing, but also for some it could bring back familiar stories around feeling ostracized, feeling different than other people, feeling like the odd person out. There can be an emphasis on this, or even how financial differences can factor into this around witnessing maybe the people within your social circle or colleagues take on a different financial standing than where it is that you are at. I say that because Taurus is associated with these themes. I also see, though, some of you could be fundraising or wanting to help people, help people who are disenfranchised, people who are in pain with the Chiron energy here, and utilizing money as a tool to do just that. And Uranus is in the sector from January to April of this year. So there could be unusual people coming into your orbit, new friends, even different sorts of hopes and dreams around. I wouldn't have envisioned this for myself, but here I am. And that could have been the case since 2018. That's when Uranus entered Taurus. And now from April onward until 2033, Uranus will move into Gemini, which is your 12th house. So some of you could have random bits of genius from the divine, like random downloads or insights or even dreams could be very unusual at this time. Sleep could be very unusual. And 12th house is around solitude. So you could crave random moments of being in solitude, random moments around feeling overwhelmed or overstimulated or something like this. There also could be random genius messages that make it very clear what is lingering in your subconscious, in your psychic clutter, something like this. Random psychic abilities that step forward, random experiences with the other side, okay, with Uranus here. There also could be an energy, and this would be a caution for you. Uranus can be very unpredictable and restless, and 12th house is the house of self-undoing. So this could either be pointing to how changing things can be a form of self-sabotage. So if you're working on a goal and then you just decide to change course and pivot, like really witnessing where changing things can be a form of self-sabotage. Or if you are in a hard situation and you feel like moving is going to change it, or you're having hard times within your relationship and you feel like a different relationship is going to change it. Like there can be an emphasis at this time around how restlessness could be your downfall, or even self-sabotaging you, and where it is that you self-sabotage your dreams and visions and goals because there's underlying feelings of not being worthy of them. Like Chiron and Taurus, that brief entry mid-year is asking you to look at that and really question if you do want to change. Because again, this is not me saying don't change, but Saturn's in the 10th house. So there is kind of an energy of locking in this year. And with Uranus energy, am I pivoting because this is hard? Am I pivoting because I don't feel like I can do it? Really asking yourself that. And 12th house can also be other things that we do to escape, and Uranus energy could make you more inclined to randomly lean on these things, or your mind may feel a little bit more scattered, and I would be very mindful around utilizing anything to help numb or drown out the noise from within. Like I would definitely say that this could be a really beneficial time for meditation, or even anything that's a little bit odd or eccentric that helps to like quiet your mind, support your sleep, get into your subconscious messages. Uranus is the planet of eccentricity. It's the planet of genius. So there could be some, yes, genius messages coming in from your subconscious mind, but also some unusual strategies as it relates to healing. From June 29th onward, Jupiter will enter Leo, making the second portion of the year for you very abundant. You can definitely attract more money and resources to you, especially due to your state of mind. Jupiter is a planet that's very optimistic. It's very generous. So you may be more inclined to give back to others, to give heart-centered gifts to those that you care about, and really be living in the spirit of every dollar I spend comes back to me tenfold. Jupiter is a lucky planet, but it's said that a lot of the Jupiterian luck is because our optimistic frame of mind makes it a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, where it's making certain investments around, of course, this is going to gain and grow, or spending money on something around, of course, it's going to come back to me. And I would encourage you to be in that abundant state of mind. As I noted earlier, Jupiter in this sector can be very abundant and prosperous, but it is important to put some of the money that is coming in towards processes, towards systems, towards your own big picture, so that all of the money that's coming in at this time does not just flush right back out, as well as to be open to shifts that can impact your money, especially with the eclipses landing here. It's going to be really important to maintain an optimistic frame of mind. If there is some sort of challenge, Saturn's in your 10th house, if an income stream does change or get taken away with eclipses in this territory, it's going to be really important to see the space that this opens up for you and the opportunity that opens up for you with this. You may be more inclined to spend more on yourself or invest in yourself in some type of way, invest in a creative project, invest in a business, invest in a big picture. And it's going to be important to stay very focused on the vision and really utilizing money and finances as a tool to get there. Some of you may raise your prices if you have not had an adequate view of your worth. This can be a time that you recognize, okay, the prices of everything else has gone up. Why do I feel beholden to prices I set 10 years ago within my business? There could be an emphasis around wanting to earn more from your time. Maybe that's the more abundant energy that is coming in for you. And even outside of financial themes, you can just find that you are really knowing your worth and you're really stepping forward with confidence, especially in the latter half of the year. And really being very solid in your values. Second house is our values. And so you can be this energy around, I know my heart, I know who it is that I am, and I know my worth. I also want to note that all year long, Pluto will be moving through your 8th house. And 8th house, in addition to the financial themes that we talked about that the eclipses will bring up, I also want to highlight 8th house is around intimacy. And when it comes to your relationships and your connections, there could be a call to really merge into them. And that could feel very scary. I mean, you've had Pluto in your 7th house, so you could have had quite a transformation around partnership and marriage over the course of that transit, which stemmed back to 2008. And there could be opportunities, especially with North Node there, to merge with someone else. You may be collaborating with someone else, merging with someone else, or even around your marriage, your spouse. There can be an energy around fusing together, whether that's financially, but also secrets and shadow work, something like this. There could be a real focus around being open. And you really, with Pluto in the 8th house, could really be tapping into that and connecting to that, especially since Uranus and Pluto meet via trine this year. Some of you could be leveraging unusual strategies in order to move through your trauma or move through your shadow work. There could be certain experiences of grief or loss that forces you to evolve, whether it's literal endings or just even contemplating endings and wanting to dial into legacy. That could be a focus for you this year. Act 5, the final scene. Cancer, this is a year of putting yourself out there. This is a year of trying new things. And this is a year of picking yourself back up if those things fail, and to continue to keep going. Saturn energy can be hard, but you are being encouraged to really lock in towards your dreams, lock in towards your potential, lock in towards your career, towards your business at large. This is a year in which you could go through certain value shifts. Things that you used to really value and prioritize quite a bit don't exactly hit the same. There can be an emphasis on legacy, wanting to give back, wanting to help humanity. There can be an emphasis on building for the long term, being less inclined for short-term gratification or payout. And it's important for you to know that we are growing when we are making mistakes. We know that we are growing when we are experiencing challenges. We know that we are growing when we are trying new things. And your eye is on growth this year, Cancer. And I can let you know, final scene at the end of the year, you will find that you have come out of your shell as the crab that you are, and connected to new parts of your potential and the true wealth of your soul that you did not know before. And I am so excited to witness it. So let me know below what transit you were looking forward to. And just a reminder, there are 2 offerings if you want to dive deeper into this astrology and how it is that you are going to co-create with it in order to make it your most magical year. The first is Magic 2026. This is a 2-hour plus video with timestamps. Don't worry. That walks you through every month of the year, all of the major transits, the planetary movement, and what this means for you, Cancer. I also am having Capricorn New Moon classes in January where we gather with a supportive community, look at your chart, look at your transits, and set your intentions for the year ahead. If this is your first time in my cosmic corner of the internet, hi, my name is Haley Comet. I would so deeply appreciate and like a comment, a subscription, sharing this video with the Cancer within your life. I have a weekly horoscope podcast called Magic Monday. I take you through every single week of astrology. I'm here every Sunday talking you through astrology from a co-creative angle, because that's what I'm all about. And that's what you'll find on my channel, is really how we can leverage astrology as a tool to understand the opportunities that are taking shape and form, to mind some of the challenges that may emerge within our world. So if that feels in alignment with you, I would so love to have you come back around again. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok at Haley Comet Astrology. I would so love to connect with you over there. But until we meet again, Cancer, stay magical.